Hey Kevin, how's it going?
It's Sachin, pretty good. Just got off from work 5 minutes ago.
Oh, cool. Hey Brian.
Hey there. How we doing?
Good, everything is good. We're gonna give it 5 more minutes to get started. We can just chat, do not, So
Yeah, where's everybody joining from?
I'm in Austin, Texas.
Nice. I'm in Arlington, pretty close.
Yeah, I'm from Arlington too.
what?
Oh, nice. Go to UTA, man?
Yeah, I did. I graduated last May.
Oh, me too. I
Yeah.
guess we're same class.
So Sajjan and Prabhishan and Antara, they are bootcamp students. So I forced them to join because it's like, we don't have attendance. You need to come and join and support us. So, so
All good, all good.
yeah. Kushbu, where are you from?
I'm from India.
Okay, awesome.
Nice. We got international audience. Love it.
Yeah. Awesome. So, I'm gonna turn on my camera. You guys need to. Brian, what do you do?
Sorry, there we go. Just trying to get one of my friends who's joining as well. I'm a software engineer at Octane.
Okay.
I'm actually a boot camp student too. I got out a year and a half ago, or a boot camp graduate, excuse me.
Okay.
So been in the field professionally since January this last year.
So you got a year and a half, about a year experience already. Cool.
Yep, you've got more experience under the belt than me.
So Brian, you'll have to teach us now because you probably have more experience.
Unfortunately, the boot camp I went to is all Rails focused. So
Oh.
yeah, I agree, Kevin.
I had
yeah.
Man, that's ancient.
It is. I do work in Node at work, so it would have been nice if I, learned Node in school and had an easier transition to that. But yeah.
Brian, our workshop is not that high, okay? Just
Yeah,
so you,
it's gonna be very, very, very fundamental.
Yeah. Right. So you'll be like, whoa, what? Sorry. So just warning that this is not in case. We can try our best. I think I just, so basically the way it happened is that I was chatting to Kevin. So Kevin is one of our previous boot camps, students. He's a very bright guy that we worked with. He was a TA, then he became a TA, then, so I was like, hey, Brian, what are you doing? He's like, I'm working an API. It's like, can we do a class? Like, I'm not expert. I was like, just tell us, you must be knowing more than anybody of us. So just tell us what you know. Okay, we don't really care if it's, if you're expert. So we put together a little bit. So, whatever we can.
While we're actually waiting, let's do this. Because everybody here has a Google account at the very least. Yeah, so let's open. I'm gonna send this link to the chat. Open up Google Cloud Console and create a project, Google project. Because we're going to need that if you want it to be hands-on. And if you only want to watch, that's totally fine then. You don't have to create anything.
Who wants to watch, Kevin? We want to do things together.
I'm just giving the option if someone wants it.
Okay, Google Cloud Consoles. I think I use it, so I already have it.
Yeah, I think something might be good. Send the link right here. There's the chat option in Zoom. It's been a while since I've been active on Zoom. Too terribly much.
Aren't you on Zoom in office call all day long?
Oh, my company uses Teams a lot.
Or Teams?
Yeah, and like my school used Teams, so I'm very Teams oriented. I'm not biased toward it, but I'm oriented. It's
like
okay. It's very buggy.
I had issues with Teams, but I never had any issues with Zoom.
Oh, Teams is any Microsoft employees here? No. Okay, Teams is crap. Like as soon as you start screen sharing, like you will lag. The person who's watching your screen will lag. It's just not. And everybody has high-speed internet, so it's not a network problem.
So Kevin, you know that we're recording this, and if you put it on the YouTube, and any day you want to interview for Microsoft, they're not going to take you.
Nah, I have defenses for that. I can make this better. Just hire me.
All right. So yeah, we'll just wait for a couple of more minutes, and then let's start from zero because like you'll have to give the link again. So it's right now 9:31. Let's wait for like 2 more minutes, and then we can get started. So just in the meantime, so Kushbu, you're from India. We already, Brian, you're on camera. You're from Austin, Texas. Beautiful, a place of taco. Norton, how are you? Where are you from? So we're just wasting some time. So till everybody joins, and then we can get started. So in the meantime, if you can, she dropped.
Hi, I'm actually from Austin as well.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Small world, small world.
It's
We're friends, actually. He told me about this, so I jumped in.
Oh, nice. As I said, we made it clear. Kevin is not a super expert. We're gonna have a lot of bumpy ride. We probably don't know what we're doing, but we're gonna try.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So
I actually convinced her to go to the same boot camp that I went to, and she just graduated a little while ago. But suffers from the same issue I mentioned. It was a Rails backend boot camp.
Hey, Brian, if you're looking to learn Node in a boot camp, you're looking at the guy right here. Taught me everything I know.
No bad. This is not advertisement, Kevin. We cannot advertise a boot camp here. Remember, we have to.
All right.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's just one more minute, and then we can get started.
Cool. Yeah, everybody, just a heads up, like everybody will need a Google account, and you'll have to create a project in Google Cloud Console and set up a billing account. I'll show you how to cancel everything so you don't rack up costs or anything after the workshop. But everything is technically in the free tier, so you should be fine.
All right. Cool. All right. I would say it's 9:33. Let's get started. Anybody who had to join has already joined. And then, so, okay, you want to share screen and create. So yeah, go ahead. It's all yours. So you said.
Yeah, let me
make you host in case I actually make co-host. I'm going to make co-host.
Okay, so I might already have Google account, console account on every single one of my things.
So okay, just tell us and we'll do it. It's not, I don't think we don't need to.
It shouldn't be. Okay, am I already sharing my screen? No. Okay, so just to begin with, sorry, I have like a mess of code going on. Okay, So just come to Google Cloud Console. Yeah, looks like I already have a project. We'll just create a new one. Show everybody the process. Just take whatever name they give you. It doesn't matter at the moment. But generally you would want to give it a name that's related to that project in some sort of contextual way. And I don't think so I have any organization added to this. So yeah, keep that an organization. Create that account or project, I'm sorry. Only takes a few seconds to create a project. And there it is. And switch your console to that project. And whenever I mention that you need to grab your project ID, here's where you're gonna grab that from. Go here to my first, or like the project list, and here's your project ID. So that's gonna be useful along this tutorial a lot. So just switch your project to that. Okay. A couple of us who didn't have Google Cloud Platform already like using before today, you will see that you're getting that start free trial at the top. If you are, do it, take that free trial, because that free trial will set up the billing account. Just go through that, put in your credit card and everything. I'll show you at the end how to remove every single service that we use here today. So you would not be charged for that. If you do, send me the bill, I'll pay for it.
Okay, good to know.
And Sachin just deployed all of his AI models there and started running them.
All right.
Yeah, let me know when everybody is done by having a Google Cloud project ready, along with the billing setup. Oh yeah, if anybody has troubles also, please let me know. Might be able to help with that.
All we need to do right now is create a new project and get that idea of that project and keep it separately, right?
Yep, get it in a notepad or something. That'll be handy.
This project in real life, Kevin, is it going to be like, for example, it's for one repository, very large repository, like for example, if you're working multiple projects, or is it, how does it work?
A Google Cloud project usually is created for a full product. So more than a repository, a single project can have like any amount of repositories that you want.
Okay.
That's a separate thing. Yeah, a Google Cloud project is usually created to segregate permissions on the cloud level for a single products team. So for example, let's say I'm making an application and I want a production instance of that application and I want a developer's instance of that application. And if I'm using Google Cloud to do that, what you would do is for your developer team, you would create a development instance or a developer's project. You could, for example, here you would create my project 252 blah 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 dash dev, and you would put your developer team, all the developers in this project, and give them appropriate permissions for this project. So you would create a separate project called this project without the dash dev. You could call it dash prod if you want, and in that you would give access to only the project lead or the lead developer or somebody, so it stays clean. So that's kind of one of the use cases where you would divide projects in Google Cloud.
right, I think my project is created. I am ready to go. You want to just quickly give your what is the plan for today, or your slideshow, and then we can get into the workshop.
Yeah, the plan is basically just we're gonna talk about what are APIs, then jump right into it pretty much.
Okay.
And start building a Node.js API. We're gonna look at some front-end code, which nobody needs to understand, to be honest. I've already devved it out, so you're able to grasp it and use it as you want to go.
And I hope everybody has Git, and they are able to clone some repositories, right?
Oh, yes. Everybody should have Git installed and Node installed on their local machine. Node.js and Npm, or Yarn if you prefer that.
Yeah. Cool.
I would not prefer Yarn, if that helps. Yeah. Yeah, today, like you guys showed up for building an API using Node.js inside Google Cloud Functions. So let's see. Who knows basically what an API is? Anybody knows the answer to that today? Doesn't have to make sense. I don't even know the formal definition.
What an API is?
Yeah.
API is something that gives us data. I mean, we call that API, it gives us something. I guess.
Sure. Get API. Okay. And we've got a shy
between just the connection between the two computers, the programs to fetch the data.
Yeah, if you say, sorry, Prashant, go ahead.
I thought someone was speaking, so I was gonna make them finish first, then I was gonna speak.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Go ahead. I think Pankaj was on.
Oh, okay. So API is something basically that helps in some kind of functionality to be performed that the user wants. Something like that. I'm not 100% sure of it, but like let's just say we want to showcase some charts, something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, you're not wrong, but you're missing a lot from there. So what an API in the very, very watered down version for us to understand is, so each application has two major aspects, one client side or front end, one server side or back end. So the reason we keep them separate, first of all, is client side code is always exposed to the user, so it's not secure, but server side is always secure if you make it. So there's a way to connect these two, or the setup of the communication between the front end and the back end is called the API, basically. It's application interface. That's the way two of our front end and back end talks to each other is through API. A simple analogy is basically you are a user going to a library, which is the database, like an actual public library in downtown. And when you ask librarian for a book, you could think the librarian is an API. It basically talks to you, the front end, goes back to the back end, which is the database code, and grabs a book, which is an entry, data entry, and gives it to you in JSON format. So that librarian in that moment is an API. Does anybody did not understand that, or that was totally ridiculous for you?
Makes sense to me.
Totally think that was totally off base, please let me know. That's my favorite analogy to understand APIs, by the way.
I'm looking at some chat, Kevin, and some Mike says, can you repeat that again?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, I see people had some answers in the chat as well. Sorry, I'm not monitoring chat, but I can if you want. Okay. So yeah, API, like I said, in terms of a library analogy, is basically think of yourself as a user or client code or front end code going inside a library, and you could think of the entire library as a database. And the librarian, you go to that librarian and ask them for a book. And when they go and get you that book or data from the database in JSON format, that librarian in that moment is basically an API talking to the backend and front end at the same time, making a request and a response. So you could think of it like this. So on the client side, you made a request to the API, which in our case is going to be Google Cloud Functions. There's much more complicated stuff after this Google Cloud Functions, but when you make a request, that Google Cloud Functions will get you that data from somewhere and then send that data back inside a response. So basically, that's what an API is. Does that make sense? Okay.
Kevin, I would like to correct you that the back API not only responds in JSON, it can respond in any format you want, from XML, SOAP, anything else. So
REST API. Okay. Yeah. You're correct. REST APIs are the one that mostly responds in JSON format. Sorry, I'm a little stuck in my ways in that scenario. Okay, but to give a little background on Google Cloud Functions, they're nothing but what they sound. It's basically a JavaScript function or a Python function or any language that you could think of that Google allows, just a function running on Google Cloud. But what it allows you to do is grab requests, response, and send those requests and response back to you. And that will make more sense once we start coding. So let's see. First, to begin to see why we need a backend or why we need APIs, let's do this. Can you guys clone these two repositories?
Yeah.
This is the front end. And this will be the backend. Clone both of these repositories. And sorry, Sachin, did you say something?
No. So yeah, so you just want us to clone these two repositories and then do npmi and run it?
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. And
you can leave the backend one. Don't need to run it right now. Just run the front end repository. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If you do not know how to run a repository, or not a repository, sorry, it will be React code. Just go inside that folder and just do npm start. It should.
And if you guys don't know how to, let me share, because I haven't done it. You already probably have it, Kevin. So I don't have it. So I'll kind of.
Okay, you can show the cloning process. Yeah.
So, hi, Kevin. I was able to clone your front end, but I'm not able to find your backend repo that you sent. The backend one, I was not able to clone that.
Really? It's public, so you should have been able to.
Okay.
I'll give it another go. Sachin, if you want to share your screen and show the cloning process, because I already have the code.
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just try it again. Okay.
Okay. Unfortunately, my electricity is out, so I might not be able to share.
Oh, that's fine. I'll just clone it again for this.
Power outage. I got a power outage.
That's if you're not talking and there's some background noise, can you please mute yourself? Thank you.
Never mind, Kevin. Never mind, Kevin. I got it. I cloned that.
Okay. Let me just. Okay. If somebody's still having trouble cloning, you can look at my screen.
Guys, if you have trouble cloning and running it, please follow Kevin's screen.
Yeah, you should already have Git installed on your computer if you want to do this stuff. You just do git clone and paste the front end link that I sent, and that should clone your repository in there. Then go inside that folder and just do npm I. That should install the dependencies. Sorry, did somebody say anything?
Can somebody mute it if they're not speaking? I'm sorry.
Okay, if you see all these warnings and stuff, don't be scared of it. It happens. Packages get deprecated. I haven't had the time to update my node yet, so don't worry about that. And to clone the other repository, do the same process again. And same thing in that repository as well. Just go inside the repository and just run npm I. It should install the necessary packages that we need. Okay, when we're done with that, go to the front end repository and just do npm start. Or actually, let's look at the code first. Already have it. It's a React code. So just to give a little background, in React, I created this API card, which will actually call up or we'll use this JSON data, which is basically nothing but a list of public APIs that are available right now that you could use to learn how to make APIs or how to make API calls or how to handle this JSON data, stuff like that. So I've already put in the sample JSON file. And right now, actually, the wrong branch. Sorry. Right now, we're going to be looking at this code. So basically what I've done is I'm just grabbing data from this JSON file and putting it on a page, rendering that list on a page to look at that result. I think I already have it running. Oh, I don't. Just need to do npm start. And it should open up on localhost 300. So let me open that up for us. 3000, sorry. So what that basically did, if you look at that JSON here, this JSON, I know it's ugly to look at a JSON like this.
Kevin, should we let everybody clone first and then go? Let's give it a couple of minutes to clone
Oh,
everybody.
okay, my bad. I was under the impression that everybody was done cloning.
So if anybody's having issue with cloning, please let us know and we can help. But it should not be pretty. It's the same simple React thing, so it should not be that hard. Open up
If you're having trouble with cloning, can you please type that in the chat? That you need us to wait. Oh, looks like everybody's done, Sachin. Nobody's waiting on the cloning part.
It was me who was not ready. That's why I was. so all right. I think at least I have the front end. So back end, yes, you can continue.
Okay. Yeah, we wouldn't need the backend part for another couple minutes or so. Prashant, you don't need to install Yarn. We're going to be using Node and NPM. Yarn is just a substitute for that. Okay, we've got another attendee.
I thought we needed Yarn, seeing like you started with Yarn. So I thought so you needed Yarn. Never mind.
No, it's just in the official documentation of React now. They apparently trust Yarn more than NPM now for some reason. So it's just there in the README files. I didn't bother changing them. Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
Okay, going back to the code. You know what? It might be easier to look at this JSON file in the browser. So let me put that console back in there. So basically, we have this JSON file that I'm rendering right now over here, which includes a sample response from an API call right now. So I've put that as a JSON in here so we can do the front end code first. So if you look at it, it has a properties called entries, which is basically an array, excuse me, which includes an object as in each item, which has the name of the API, the authentication needed for an API, what the category is of that API. Does it require course? If you don't know what course is, don't worry about it right now. You can ask me after this workshop. I'll be happy to talk about it for another hour. And description of what that API does, and is it SSL and over HTTPS secure network, and what's the actual link of that API. For now, I've put that link inside this button just to give it a try. If you want to, we can see is that there's this cat API which gives you images of cats, right? So, and if you're a dog person, I'm pretty sure there's one about dogs in there too. Brian, I know I saw your dog, so that's for you.
If I'm neither a cat or a dog person, then what?
You're out of luck, man. I'm just kidding. There's a lot of stuff about other API calls in here that you could look at. So you'll be fine. It's not just about animals.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, animals is just like the alphabetical order category. So that's what it pops up first
Right.
right now. Okay. But yeah. Okay, so when we have this sample JSON data right now in real world, we cannot put this sample JSON data inside our front end code because this is a lot of stuff to put inside front end code. So we cannot do that. And on top of that, that's why we need stuff like APIs, because in real world, we store stuff like this in a database that we query. And in order to query a database, we need a backend code. What that means is backend code is basically API call or anything like that. So that's what we're going to look at now. So if anybody hasn't cloned the backend API now would be the time. Anybody still having trouble with the backend code? Okay, while I wait for that, just to give a little background on how to start making Google Cloud functions is basically what you need to do is just do npm init, and that will create an empty Node.js runtime with all like default license, default dependencies and stuff like that. And what that will let you do is define whatever you need inside package JSON and have that node runtime ready to go for you to have that cloud function to be written in Node.js. Okay, I'll ask one more time. Anybody having trouble cloning the backend code and installing the dependencies?
So I want to ask one question. I think I already asked you before. So what is the other like, what are the other options? Like we're deploying Node API on Google Cloud. What if we don't use Google Cloud? What can we use? How will it work if we don't have Google Cloud? How will it work? If before, let's say you don't want to use Google Cloud, what are my options?
Well, there is a lot. I'll answer that question in reverse. So the reason I prefer to use Cloud Functions to make the APIs like this is it follows a microservices architecture. If you don't know the word, don't worry about it. What that means is, in a very watered down version, is that you can keep your endpoint separate in a separate source code in a very minimized fashion. And you can deploy it in basically one line to the Cloud function, and it is auto-scaled, platform managed. So you don't have to worry about scaling your API or getting any downtime. Now coming back to your question, Sachin, if you don't want to go the Node.js route, the traditional route to create a Node.js API or backend is to create it using an Express framework, which creates an Express server basically, and then you deploy it on either a virtual machine, which you expose to the rest of the world, or you deploy it on a platform like Heroku, which manages that stuff for you. So both of those require a lot of steps that I personally don't like, because a virtual machine means that you have to handle infrastructure or like servers, and you have to manage the maintenance and all that crap. Nobody wants to deal with these days. So Cloud Functions give you that serverless architecture with the pricing that is practically nothing, if that makes sense. Okay, is everybody ready to go? Cool. So basically what you do is you export an entry point or the name of your function inside a file called index.js. And you grab the request and the response inside the arrow function, or which is technically a callback or a trigger to that entry point. So in that, actually let's do, right now I have a very simple example set up. Is when you call this function, all you'll get is hello world, because that's how all we start.
So is the 200 on the response on the third line, is that the port number that was open, or what is the 200?
No, so the port by default in this case is going to be, when we emulate the function locally, it's going to be 8080, but that 200 is the HTTP status code that is sent back. Yeah, so
Oh,
API,
the 200. Oh, the 200 ones. Okay, I got it.
yeah, so I will try to make this as RESTful as possible, and what that means is REST APIs follow certain guidelines, which involve sending HTTP status codes over with the response. And it's not going to be best practice in any way.
Prashant, just to answer your question, the port number that is assigned is it's never going to be like 200, because the port, those are reserved port numbers. If you want your server to run, it's going to be much higher, between, I believe, somewhere like 7,000-8,000 to between 7,000-8,000 to 64,000, because that is the range that's like saved for that, because all the other port numbers are reserved for 443 for HTTPS, 80 for 423 for FTP. So all the port numbers are reserved initially. So you will not get, right? So
I was curious on that. That's why I asked. Thank you so much, Sachin.
Yep. So right now, to emulate a certain function, you have to use a package called Google Cloud Functions package. And I already included that in the dev dependency. So if you ran npmi, it should already be installed. But to emulate a function locally, you have to run this command. I've put it inside scripts. So all you have to do is just do npm start, and your function would be running locally. And in order to hit that, whatever URL it gives you, it 99.9% would be the same exact URL. Just grab that URL, and you can, since this is just a normal get function, we could just paste it in the browser, and you will see the response. you've got hello world. First step to everything in computer science.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I got hello world.
I got an error saying not found, error 404.
Did you emulate the function? Like, okay, let me, and where'd my code at?
Did you clone and did you run npmi?
I did clone it. I don't
Did
think
you-
I did the npmi, right? I don't think
Yeah,
I did that.
Okay,
Did
run
you-
npm install. That would install these dev dependencies that you need for your function or that Node.js environment to run.
There are
npmi.
only 3 steps. Yeah, 3 steps. You clone it, you cd into it, because once you clone it, you're not inside that directory. So the outside directory won't have the package.js. So clone, then cd into that folder, and then you do npmi, and then you just do npm run start, and that should work.
Okay, so I have to cd into the backend file, right? Because this is what you did in the backend one, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Vivek, you're saying how to close this server? Control C is not working.
Control C should work. I can show
Let
you.
me try.
We'll see. Yep.
Yeah,
What system are you using with it? Oh, okay.
it says working now.
Okay.
All right.
But yeah, just to see for fun, if you look at the code, so you can grab some data from an API call from the query parameters, which are the URL parameters. Not going to go into detail for that, but just for fun.
I got it, Kevin, Sachin. Thank you very much, guys.
You could just type any message that you want. And that message would pop up. And that's a basic API call that you can make, the most basic one possible.
Sorry, can you, what is that again? Can you, what is that? How do you do that again?
Oh, yeah, sorry. So you can pass in query parameters inside a URL when you call an API or any URL for that matter. But so all you have to do is type that URL, put a question mark in front of it, and give the URL parameter that's in the code. In our case, it's message, and type the message or type whatever you want to pass. And that message is printed over here because that's how our code was structured. If you look at it, it says whenever we grab message, it's either if this is available, if it's not null, we'll grab the query message. If this is not null, grab this. But if we don't have either of this, then we'll grab just send hello world. Sachin, if you're saying anything, I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry. I just put a message, Kevin rocks, and it works.
Appreciate it. Okay. Let's go to the next step. So moving forward, we're going to be calling an API.
Kevin, I'm still a little bit confused. What is our plan? So we have the APIs ready. What is our plan? I'm a little confused about where we are at and what we're trying to do here.
Okay. So we have the cloud function basic level ready to go, but we're going to call another API that is going to send us that list that we saw earlier, that JSON, and we're going to pass that as a response from our cloud function. And then we're going to call that cloud function from our front end code and render that API response instead of the static JSON data. Does that make sense?
Can you
Sorry.
repeat?
Vivek, what'd you say? Can you repeat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry, definitely. So right now what we have is a front end code with a static JSON data. You in real life, you never have your data static. So that's why we're making this API, which we'll call another live version of an API, to give us dynamic data. And from there, what we're going to do is pass that API calls response as a response to this cloud function. Instead of this message, we'll pass that data inside here. And
Got it. Got it.
excuse me. Yeah. And then we'll render that dynamic data inside our front end code, basically. Yeah. And after that, I'll show you how to deploy this cloud function into your Google Cloud project and how to look at it and where's the details and what you can do with it and play around. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to send a link of that API that we're going to be calling.
So basically, Kevin, so right now that list we are rendering on the front end, it's coming from this
Public list JSON file, basically.
public API list.json that you have in the front end. Okay.
Correct. So it's very static. Yeah.
Yeah, it's static. So our plan is that now we're gonna fetch that list from. So we're gonna call the backend, and the backend is gonna give us that public API list.json. And is the backend going to fetch it from somewhere else, or is it local to the backend? Is it that file?
It's going to fetch it from somewhere else.
It's going to fetch it from somewhere else. Okay.
Yeah.
It would. Okay, makes sense.
And it's going to be a much smaller response.
Okay.
And it's going to be dynamic. So let me send you guys the link. And I'll, so first of all, if you already don't have it.
And I have made a fig jam here in case you want to draw it out later on, but so I'm going to give it to you. You can go on the fig.
But you just install the package called Axios. Just do npm I Axios. This is what we're going to do to call or to make an API call, basically. This is my personal preferred package to make API calls.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want, you could use something else like HTTP or even fetch. But I use this because it makes it easier to handle promises. If you have no idea what I'm talking about when I talk about promises or API calls, I would love to talk to you after workshop. Okay, and after that, just do const axios require.
So
Axios.
add the package.
Yeah, what that does is that imports that package for you to use inside your code. Let me know when everybody's with me.
Hey, Kevin, can you explain this exports.public API function? Which inbuilt function is it? Exports.public API?
So this isn't anything inbuilt. I wrote this from scratch. So what this does actually on the Google when it's deployed is this public API is exported for Google to grab it and use it as an entry point. What that means is when we deploy this function, we're going to get a link of that function. And that link will look like cloudfunctions.yourproject.net/public API. So it basically gives you a URL for your function, and it's managed on the Google Cloud platform. So that's why we just put the name here.
Oh, so you have written it here in this code or on the Google Cloud?
I've written it locally, but we will eventually deploy it to the Google Cloud.
Okay.
Does it have to be public API? Does the name have to be public API, or it can be anything?
It could be anything you
Can be anything. I was asking about the exports. That's what I wanted to know.
Yeah, this exports, all it does is this, it exports the name of the function that you've defined here.
Oh, okay.
So Google Cloud can fetch it basically.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah. Wait for everybody to install Axios and import it in their code like this. Yeah, to
I'm
show
there.
you.
Done.
Okay, cool. To show you an example, Vivek, let me see if I have a code base open with much more complicated cloud functions. Yeah. So if you see in production, this is how many functions we have, and that's how they look. And they have that same, well, it's a different trigger, but yeah, you can call it anything you want.
Okay. Also, because there was an export dot, so that's why I got confused. But thanks.
Okay, now that we have Axios, we can get rid of this. And going to call that API call that I just sent the link of in the chat using Axios. If you've never used Axios or never made an API call before, you can look at my link. Oh, my page, sorry. Oh. It's weird. Why it's not working. There you go. Oh, sorry, you will have to make this an async function because you will have to wait for this API call to send you that response.
Can you send the entire link, the response, line number 4? Because I'm lazy to type.
Yeah.
Can you send line number 4 complete? It's much better.
Okay, now we're just going to pass that data. This is going to be very simple. Usually what happens is when you make an API call in the backend and you pass that data, you process that data inside your backend and do something with it. But since that's not really a requirement right now, we're just going to pass that data along as a response. So now if we emulate the function by npm, let me clear this, npm start, and we look at the response, it's going to be a JSON response with that entries array. Everybody's with me so far? Yeah, we've practically created like a whole API endpoint in 4 lines of code.
Can you show me the code again? So now you're responding with response, right? You're directly sending the response, or response or data?
Just directly pass the response
Okay.
along with
Got
it. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. That.
Yeah, like I said, normally in real life scenarios, when you get the data from some other third-party API, you have to process that API. And the reason you want to process that API inside the backend is because your backend isn't reliable on any sort of internet speed or any sort of computer performances. It's deployed on the server. So that means it's dependent on the server resources. So when you're using the application on the client side, you wouldn't have to wait for this stuff to happen on the client internet speed, which is in a lot of cases slow. Hate to say it is.
So Kevin, am I supposed to get this? Hold on. Is it this? What? I'm doing this via my phone because it's kind of annoying to do it on PC and the same laptop. So can you see the screen?
I can see your face.
What the fuck? Can you see my screen now?
Yes. Yeah. So I got a beautified response because I have an extension installed for it.
Okay.
Uh,
You can install a Chrome extension called JSON View, and that should give you the beautified version of.
yeah. I have something called JSON Viewer installed as a Google Chrome extension from the web store. It
Okay.
just beautifies the JSON response.
All right. Yes,
Yeah, I've actually gotten so used to it, I forgot this happens because of an extension, and it's not by default. My bad. But yes, that's what you're supposed to get, Prashant. That's the correct data that you're getting.
Okay.
Okay, now we're gonna have to do something that nobody really likes. We're gonna have to go back to our Google Cloud and enable some APIs that Google Cloud use for us to deploy this function. So everybody, if you want to look at my screen real quick, if you go to your Google Cloud platform, click on this menu button, go to APIs and services, and go to library. Bless you, Brian. And search for cloud functions. It should pop up the cloud functions API. Click on it and enable it. It should take a few seconds.
Where do I need to go again? The API is part of the Google Cloud, right?
Yeah, so just go to this menu, API and services, and then library. And in that library search bar, just type cloud functions. Let me know when everybody's done with that, or if there's a problem with that. You would not be able to, I think, activate the API if you don't have the billing set up. So make sure you do.
Which API was I supposed to activate?
Cloud functions. Anybody else having trouble enabling the API? Sachin, were you able to get it?
Are we enabling this API only for this project, or is it enabled for all the projects I have?
Okay, so each project has its own billing, so it means it only enables for that specific project.
Okay.
Yeah.
So only, okay,
Uh,
makes sense.
Kevin, so it tells me to use this API, you need to create credentials. So what kind of credentials do I need to create for
Don't
it?
worry about that. I don't think so you did. As
Okay.
long as it doesn't tell you to have a billing account associated, you're good so far. Okay, when everybody's done with that, there's another we have to activate. It's called Cloud Build API. That's basically what compiles our code. So please go there and enable that as well. Okay.
Cloud Build API.
Yeah, this one says that I don't have a project with a billing account, so I'll have to enable the billing. Just link enabling account. Just add a billing account. It looks like I already have my credit card in there. Yeah, you'll have to enter your credit card information, your name, and all that stuff. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes for that.
Cloud Build, no, sorry, Cloud.
Yeah, it's Cloud Build API, but in order to enable that API, you need to enable a billing account.
Okay.
Like basically give your credit card details.
Correct.
Like right now in our school, we are doing this cloud thing. So I was kind of hesitant to give my billing details because I didn't want to incur charges for this. But I got lucky, and so far I'm not charged anything.
And that's not really lucky. So what happens is all this stuff that we're using to learn any cloud really, ranging from AWS, Azure, or Google Cloud, they all have something called a free tier that's specifically made for you to learn and even try out a cloud. So when you signed up for this account, you even actually got $300 worth of credit added to your account. So even if we're doing anything that costs anything, you wouldn't pay anything out of pocket until you get the $300 threshold. $300 is a huge bill. You will never get there.
Yeah. All right. I hope so.
Yeah. Last month, my machine learning model was running 24/7 and it at most cost me $274. So you can imagine it's not
All right.
expensive.
That's cool.
I think I would like to know what that model is. Next time, I think we should take the class on that model that runs 270. Maybe we can replicate that to see what the hell are you doing with that 200. We'll see.
It's a very specific model related to the client that I have working for my company. So it's not going to be relevant for anybody to use that model, to be honest. It's a very, very, very custom solution.
All right. I think, yeah, it's for me, it's on.
I think I've enabled, as long as we don't need any credentials, I'm fine.
Perfect. Okay,
So-
so
Kevin, cloud build is like a DevOps, it's like a pipeline, right? Building is you are building it, right? Like we do Netlify build.
yeah, basically, if you've ever worked with Node, or if you ever work with a Webpack or Docker, all of these have in common that you make a production build, right?
Right.
And with Docker, you make a container, and with NPM, you do NPM Run build, which makes a build file. That's basically what cloud build is. It makes that production build or that production code for you to deploy. So you don't have any extra packages in there. You don't have any junk in there, basically.
Got it.
It basically compiles your code, if you could think of it like that too.
Okay.
Okay. Looks like everybody is good to go with that. So in order to deploy a function, you will need the G Cloud Sdk, which will have to install. Again, I'm sorry, but there's no alternative. So just type G Cloud Sdk and go to this place and select your operating system. For me, it's Mac. And it was very easy to install.
So install G Cloud SDK.
Yeah. If it's Mac, just pick one of the following files, just download them. If you're on Windows, just download it from here. It's a setup, takes a couple minutes.
Or you can use the command in the administrative settings, the command alternative command, because the SDK installer didn't work for me.
Okay.
So yeah, because I had to install it for a class. So I'm just letting people know that you can use, you have to open PowerShell in administrator settings for it.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah, sorry, you have to do a bunch of this bureaucratic crap when you use cloud stuff. I wish there was a universal CLI that we could all use, but there is.
Yeah. Like for the class related stuff, when I tried to use the installer, for some reason in my PC the SDK installer didn't work. So I opened the PowerShell in admin settings, and then I just copy pasted the commands you're seeing. Then it installed.
So this SDK is installed for all. It's not only for Google Cloud Function. It can be used for all other Google Cloud, right? So this is for entire GCP. It's just
Correct. It's
right?
the command line interface for you to interact with all the Google Cloud services except Google Cloud Storage.
Except Google Cloud Storage. Okay.
Yeah, they have their own CLI for some reason.
Kevin, I'm assuming that if you go back to the Mac OS instructions, option B at the bottom says it's optional to run the install script to get it in your path. So I guess so it's available globally. Is that something we're wanting to do, or does it not matter?
Not gonna lie, I don't remember if I had to get in my path. Do me a favor, try to, if you've already installed it, just give it a go from any terminal. Just do Gcloud auth login and see what happens. I think for me, it was automatically put on path. And I think I might have that setting available from my system preferences.
What was the second word you said? Gcloud what?
Auth login.
Yeah, command not found. Gcloud.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I'm using ZSH though on my ZSH, so sometimes it gets weird with path stuff. So
yeah, I'm on ZSH too, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah, go ahead and put on the path. Okay, you can also
you just gotta cd into wherever you installed it and install sh.
Yeah, I think it should be in your applications directory. I don't know if you put it there. Hopefully it's not installed on home, but that would be my second guess.
I put it right on my desktop. I like to live dangerously.
There you go. Even better. Yeah, the problem with ZSH is that if the application isn't in your application directory, the path stays there on like for a temporary time. Like as soon as you close the terminal, it will go away. That's why it took me longest time for my VS Code to stay on application or the path, because it wasn't in the applications directory. I found that out like last week.
So Kevin, I installed it. It created a folder called Google Cloud SDK, but inside that there are many other folders. Let me just share for a second.
Yeah.
For example, I'm here. All right. So where do I go from here? So it installed this dar.dz and then I extracted it here. But
okay, is that script that they're talking about in here? I did not see that script. Okay, I see it. Actually, just run that first command. That's in option B.
Option B.
Okay, extract. You guys already extracted that tar, right? Okay, so
Yeah.
I'll send that to you in the chat.
What were you guys able to install? Was everybody else able to install without any issues?
Sachin, I send you that command. Just cd into this folder
Okay.
and run that command. Yeah.
So Kevin, I also have the SDK shell. Is that what we are supposed to get for it?
Well, you don't really need the SDK shell, to be honest. I can't remember for Windows if you do, but if it's on your path, you should be able to use it directly. Let me check what they say about Windows notes.
Okay.
Let's see. It looks like it should automatically be added to your path. But if it does not, keep that shell open, you might need it.
Yeah, I have it opens the shell, so I think I should be okay, right? Like,
Okay, yeah, just do
let me just
Gcloud.
show you the video. Hold on. Let me just.
Okay, yeah, you're good.
Oh, fuck. Is this okay?
Yeah, definitely.
All right.
Sachin, were you able to get it?
I'm going to the folder I downloaded that SDK, and then I'm going to run that command from that folder, right? So of course I need to.
Yeah. Brian, how's it going on your end? Okay, you're good. Cool.
All right, so I'm not going to waste everybody's time. I'm going to do it in my own. Just want to make sure everybody else got GCP installed, like the SDK, whatever. Yes, no.
Prashant is good. Vivek, are you doing good?
Yeah, I installed it.
Cool. Norton, can you help me out? How's your first name?
Guinevere.
Glennifer. Okay, that's what I thought. I
So-
didn't want to mispronounce it.
I appreciate that. So I think I'm doing well. I have the BigQuery command line tool installed, Cloud SDK core library, and Cloud storage command line tool. Was there anything else on this list that should be installed?
I don't think so. You're good.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. You guys did not need to be in this tutorial. It's way too fundamental. Okay, yeah.
So what
So-
else?
Now we're going to deploy that function that we created, basically. So in order to deploy a function like we just installed Gcloud, you have to use this command. I can break down this command a little bit. Basically, Gcloud functions, it targets that function service, deploying it. You give that function's name and entry point, like I said, whatever you export here is the
I
entry
shared.
point of that function.
Yeah, I
Oh,
don't think you
yeah.
can share.
You're not sharing it.
I blame you, Sachin.
I do this all the time. No big deal.
Okay, so I've put the deploy command in the script, so it's easier for us to do it, but just a little background on it. It uses that G Cloud SDK that we all installed, targets that function service deploying, and you provide the function name, the function entry point, which is this right here in our code, runtime, which means it's like what platform is going to run on. In our case, it's going to be Node. And I think the latest one that Google Cloud supports is Node.js 16, but I think it's in beta version, so I didn't want to mess with it. So we're going with 14. And our trigger is HTTP. What this means is, okay, just a little bit backstory on cloud functions, a little bit more. So there is a couple types of cloud functions that you can make. The most common one, if you're making an API, is going to be an HTTP. Your trigger is going to be an HTTP. What that means is that you're going to hit a link, a URL. But there's some other types of cloud function that you can make, something that could be a background function. For example, you can make a trigger that is, if a file was uploaded to my Google Cloud database, run this function. You could set up triggers like that. So you can also have background functions instead of making just APIs from cloud functions. And right now we're going to allow it to be an unauthenticated function. So it's available to everybody because we don't want to mess with security in this 1 hour call. That will take a while. Okay, so now to do this, just do npm run deploy.
Do we do we need to actually have run that Google or the Gcloud auth command that you were saying, or was that just for a test?
Thank you. Sorry. So sorry. I skipped that totally. Okay, yeah. You are going to need to run Gcloud auth login, and it will automatically open up a link.
So the G Cloud thing, don't we have to run it in the SDK? In the SDK shell?
SDK. Oh, for you, yeah, go ahead and run it in the SDK shell because you're using the SDK shell, so you can just run it there. But since G Cloud itself, SDK is a CLI, you can use it in any command line you want.
Okay.
Yeah, just copy this.
Kevin, yeah, Kevin, you're fired. We're hiring Brian.
That's fine.
It's
Really want a Rails guy though?
Ouch.
Shots fired.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
that hurts.
So Kevin, what was that command? Gcloud auth?
Auth
login?
login. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what that'll do is that'll configure your project in the background for you and authenticate the project in here. I'll just allow it. You're now authenticated. Once everybody is done, we just need to check one more thing. Is everybody good to go with the authentication? Make sure you're using the same Google account that you used to create that project. And it
Yeah.
kind of seems obvious, but I've made that mistake before. If you have like 11 Google accounts.
Yeah, I think I'm good. I'm good to go.
Cool, sounds good. Yeah, now all you need to do is just run this command, Gcloud projects list. If you have multiple projects in your Google Cloud and none of them is selected or is here, we will need to select a project just to make sure we're running it on the right project because it can cause permissions issues. After that, just do Gcloud config set project. And if you remember, I told you to keep that project ID. We're going to need it now. I wish I would have saved it myself. Okay. Grab that project ID and run this command. So Gcloud config set project and that project ID.
And you have not run the deploy script yet?
No, I have not.
Okay, just make sure I didn't miss that.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we're on the right project before we did that. Thank you for reminding me of that step, by the way. Okay, let's give it another couple of seconds. I know it's late and nobody wants to hear me talk for too much longer. Okay, just one last time. Anybody having troubles with the project configuration or auth login?
Good.
Cool. Now all you have to do is run npm run deploy, and that will run the script to deploy this function to our cloud project.
So do we need to run this in the SDK for Windows or?
If you're running in the SDK, make sure you've CD'd into the right folder before you run it. And we have an error. Cloud storage application. Oh,
Okay, I'll make sure of that.
okay. I thought I activated the billing account. Well, looks like I didn't activate the billing account. Okay, there we go. Oh, maybe not. Oh, crap. See, I told you all to enable the API and I didn't do it myself.
Kevin, what was the command again? Can I just see that?
It's npm run deploy. If you go to the right folder.
Npm Run Deploy. All right.
Correct.
Is this what's supposed to come? Hold on. Can you see my screen?
You inverted and I'm seeing your face.
Man, oh man. No.
You can see my screen, what's supposed to happen.
Is this what's supposed to come? Like it says, region deploying
It's-
function may take up to 2 minutes.
Yep, pretty much. Oh, for the people that are not in the central region or in US for that matter. So this command has an extra flag. All you have to do is do -- region and give it the region that you want the function to be deployed in. The default region of most cloud projects, well, I guess I've only worked in central. So for my default region is central. So that's why this cloud function is going to be deployed in US Central 1 for me.
You just elaborate real quick on like what a region
It was
is.
central 1 for you? It was central 1 for you? I had to set it to central 1 to do it because when I was doing this, it showed me US East something. So
It's probably the region that you're in.
Virginia is always the default. For at least for AWS, it's always the default. Even for Google, Virginia is always the default.
Yeah. Sorry,
Am I-
Brian.
No, I was just wondering, am I right in assuming like a region is like the physical location of the cloud service?
That is correct. Sorry, I presumed on that a little bit. Region in cloud, basically. So all this cloud services and functions are virtual machines and stuff that we deploy in a cloud. It actually lives in a physical location. And that's what these regions are.
So is this what's supposed to come?
Yes, so once the function is deployed, you will get a successful message, and I am unable to see my entire screen right now, so it's covered by my laptop.
I think the project where you enable those APIs, I think that must be the case. I don't know.
That's what's supposed to happen. I think that's a successful message. So you should get a URL in the HTTPS trigger.
Okay.
That's the URL of your function.
Okay. The
Yeah.
source upload URL, this one?
I cannot see that.
Oh shit. Like,
If you want to screenshot it and send it somehow.
all right, I'll do that.
Okay.
Could you real quick because I had enabled the services for the wrong project. The cloud build was the second one. What was the first one called?
Cloud functions, but that one should automatically be enabled when you try to deploy it. It will ask you if you want to enable it while you're deploying it.
Okay.
Yeah, every single time I do this from ground up, I never remember to do this. So I'll learn from the errors. For everybody who's done, the successful message should look like this. It will give you available memory, the build ID, build name, entry point, and stuff like that. The only thing that you care about is HTTPS trigger, and inside that HTTPS trigger is the URL of that function. So please copy that and paste it somewhere for safekeeping.
This URL should also be available on the console. Like if you go to Google function,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I'm just waiting on Brian, and I'll show you guys after that where that is.
It's deploying right now.
Cool. While it's deploying, I can show you. So if you go to your cloud, just type cloud functions in the search. your function should be right here. If you click on that function and go to the trigger tab, it should tell you that trigger URL up there as well.
I think I got it. It should be like this, right? With the
Yep, that's
URL.
the response, you're good.
Okay.
Yep. Well, that was gonna be my next thing. Prashant spoiled it for everybody, so blame him.
Sorry about that. I just wanted to be doubly sure before.
If you hit
Before I
that
ask.
URL, it's gonna be an API response. And that's the sample data that you get. Exactly what you would have gotten in the local version.
We need to replace that API on the front end right now, right?
Correct.
Now, technically speaking, I can take anybody, like I can take your API because there's no security as per se, right? So I can put your URL in my project and it's gonna be fine. It's gonna work fine, I believe.
Pretty much. Yeah, no, not believe. 400% sure it's gonna work.
Send it to me, send me your URL. Let me get your billing up for some time. Let me see.
Go for it, go for it. I'm a rich man. Let me get the chat. So for anybody who's having troubles and weren't able to deploy their function, you can actually use my URL. There's a couple of thousand invocations that's free, so go crazy.
By the way, thank you for putting my favorite API, the Shiba Inu Doggo API.
Oh yeah, these are all animal APIs, by the way, because I chose the category as animals. So animal lovers, yeah.
I love the Shiba Inu though. You know the reasons why.
I have no idea. But moving forward, now we're going to be editing our front end code. I didn't want to spend too much time on that front end code because we are kind of coming close to the time and it's getting pretty late. So let's.
So which?
I already have a finished version. Would you like me to just switch to that and I can run through the code, or would you like me to type it out? What would you guys prefer?
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Now that we have the URL.
Okay, I'll type it out.
Yeah, let's type it out.
Not a problem. Yeah, it's just so if nobody, like if anybody who doesn't know React here, don't worry about understanding this. This is not the first thing you want to learn in React. It's a React hook that I'm gonna be using to handle this. Okay, so actually let me.
Did you forget the syntax? You want me to give this?
Oh no, I remember it. Somehow. Yeah, it took me like 10 minutes to recall it, but I did that before the workshop today. That's what I was doing during my lunch today. So here, same thing, install Axios. I think I put Axios as a dependency when I pushed up the skeleton code, but I'm not sure. So just install Axios and import it right here. If you want to. And this is another format, by the way, you can use to handle an Axios call. Instead of a single wait, you could use .then. That's another way you can resolve promises. They're both the same in most ways. First things first, what I like to do is look at the response, make sure my API is working. And we're going to look at that response now.
Don't think that Axios is in the dependencies on this.
Oh, my bad. Oh, okay. So if it's not in the dependencies, sorry about that. Just do npm install Axios and then import Axios from Axios. if anybody's sparking curiosities why we didn't do require here, it's because we're using ES6 format instead of ES5. So it's not a common JS module format. If you want details on that, please stay back after the workshop.
Hey,
Okay.
Kevin, I think for use effect, you put component did update. It's gonna also okay. You can put component did mount. It means
Oh,
we don't want to run that.
Yeah, I didn't put that there. And okay, yeah, I'll do that. There you go.
All right, there you go.
Trust me, the lessons that you taught me have not gone to waste. Okay, so looks like our API is working. We were able to get back the response. So in general, a response will contain a lot of information, including status code, the config, which included the headers and all that stuff. If you don't care about network stuff and learning, you can ignore it. But if you do, there's a lot of times there's some good information in here that's useful in a production application. Just FYI. But what we care about is always inside data and our entries, and it's that same API response that we had before. So it looks like we did a good job in deploying that API and we got that response.
Right. Hey, Kevin, can I see your VS code for a second? The API card.js.
Yeah, that's what I was jumping back to.
Yeah, I just wanted to look back at some code.
Yeah, of course. So now we're gonna have to set this data. So I'm going to use something called a useState hook.
Set data, not set state.
Oh, I did state. Okay. It would have still worked. Okay. Yeah, well,
It was technically it will still work.
yeah. So we're just going to set that entries array that we had in the API response to our data, so we can loop over it to put it inside our HTML code or JSX technically.
Wait. And like I just want wait a sec.
Sorry, say that again. I missed that totally.
No, I was just saying if you could wait a second at that at that frame. Like I wanted to understand something real quick.
Oh, yeah, of course. What do you want to know?
No, I was just wanting to understand why did you put a square bracket like right after the last curly brace? Like
Oh, that. So that's
yeah.
Use effect has a couple hooks inside it that you could use it for. There's usually 3 syntaxes. So this square bracket or empty array basically is where you would put a dependency of a use effect. What that means is if I put data here, this use effect code block is run every single time that value of that data changes. But when it's empty, it runs on whenever the component is mounted onto the DOM, and then it's never runs again. That's what that empty dependency means. Sachin, correct me if I'm wrong here though.
No, you're right. You're right. That's like in the old React, that is called component did mount. So it's only going to run once as soon as this component is mounted. Once the component is rendered, then it's going to run that effect, and that's it. It's not going to run again. So that's what it means. But if you want to run again and again, so you can put that whatever dependencies you have in that array, and it's going to only run when that dependency change. So that's like a dependency array.
Yep. But just a warning, never do this because this will keep running. As soon as there's any change in any DOM anywhere, it will go wild. So
Okay.
Where's a quick place to reference where your Cloud Function actual URL is? I'm trying to.
Oh, sorry. URL. So just go to your Cloud project, basically, your console. Well, where did my console go? Okay. Yeah, and just, oh crap, it locked me out.
I'm on the Cloud Function dashboard right now. I can see.
Okay.
I can see the function. I just can't see the URL.
Okay, just click on the function. There's a trigger tab inside the function. So let me open that.
Gotcha.
If you can't find it, let me know. I can have it on my screen.
Yep, I'm pulling it up.
So now how do I execute this command that we did just now in the front end?
Yeah, I'm getting to that. Okay, so Brian, you good, right?
I am good. Let me make sure this use effects actually working now. The Axios call is not happy.
Yeah, I will wait. And here's the code if you need to reference it.
Use effect. Wait. All right.
I am getting a error in the promise.
Brian, you want to share your screen? Let's
Yeah,
look
go ahead
at
and
it.
share your screen.
Sure. One go.
My God, why are you getting a cores error?
Course policy, access to.
Okay.
Axios.
Right. Can I see your Axios code real quick? Did you just make a normal request? Yeah, if you make a normal request, it shouldn't even call cores technically.
Yeah, you might.
What? Some of the cloud functions sometimes do this unexpectedly. There's one mistake somewhere. I've been down that road before. I can help you with that right after, like, I'm done.
Okay.
Kind of demo.
Yeah, I'm good to not hold everybody up.
Yeah, because this is a rabbit hole that I don't know the origin of.
Yeah.
So I don't want to.
Cores is the double.
It is. You're just so lucky.
It's
yeah. To move forward. Oh, this is the backend code. Yeah. In the front end, Prashant, to answer your question, to execute this, sorry, you asked how do you execute this? What did you mean by that?
Yeah.
You asked, how do we execute this?
Yeah, I was asking you that. Like, what should come up? What should be the output after we execute this?
Okay, yeah. So now that we've seen our console that this response has the data that we were looking for, I've passed this response into the data hook. And now, instead of using this public API list JSON file, we're going to use that data. So if I just get rid of this.
Hold on.
Yeah, console. So now our data is being looped using that API call response. And let's see if we go back to this. Just to prove that I'm not lying, I reloaded my page. And we have a much less response. We only have 25 entries this time instead of that crazy 500 entries.
Okay.
And
so what was the, can you go back to the VS code of the, yeah, what did you change here? Like, you changed it to data, right?
yeah, okay, so earlier, let me put that all back. Earlier, we were using this static data that was already present in our front end code. It was this JSON file.
Right.
And it's not good to have a static data piece of data on a client-side code because that's very costly in terms of space and client resources.
Yeah, it would take a lot of memory space unnecessarily.
Yeah, so that's why now we're getting rid of this and we're going to be using the API response that we got.
Okay, so you commented out the console log that we had and the import statement,
Correct.
and you added data here in place of it, so that we can get real-time data instead of data that we inputted in the JSON file. Is that what's
Yep.
going on?
Yep, that's exactly what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah, if you know React and are curious, I've used React Strap to get these card components.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anybody cared, but that's what's happening. And when I'm looping over using the map function, I'm just returning the HTML code every single time for each card.
Right.
And using the arrow function, I grabbed each API item and the index. And I've just basically put the values there using the object accessing. Yeah, Sachin, do you have a question?
Kevin, it should be data. It should be data.map, not data.entries.map, right?
Yeah,
So
it
you
should be
already
data. Oh, my bad. Yeah, it should be data.map because up here when we set data, we did response.data.entries. Yeah, I did it right the first time, but when I Control Z, I didn't change that second time. And again, to prove that I'm not lying, that it's working, let me just reload the page.
My API page apparently is not working. It's just showing me a blank. Hold on a sec.
share your screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just shows me it's blank.
Okay,
Nothing
open
else.
your console and see what's going on.
Okay. So I did the data.map here.
Oh, not the code. Let's look at the console to see if there's a network error.
Can you share your screen?
Yeah, can you share your screen?
Oh, I'm doing it via phone, via phone on Zoom app.
Yeah, we can't. So how? Yeah, I'm not gonna be able to look at that. That's not clear, really. Just go to your console instead of the code and see if you have any issues in your console.
Okay. Okay.
But if you do, just a little FYI. So every single API call is under the networks tab. So this was our API call. You can see all the headers, including the cross origin headers, Brian, that you might be having trouble with that are up here.
Right.
And you could look at the response in here too, instead of console logging it if you want.
Oh, you mean this, right? This is what it's showing me on console.
Yeah, you would get the same error as Brian. If you guys want to just kind of try it out, you could use the function that I deployed for now, and then I'll look into Core's errors after that. They're always a pain.
Use your function. Use the function that Kevin created, so maybe that will resolve that course issue.
Okay, what was the function again?
It's in the chat. It's the last thing that's in the chat, the last link.
Hold on.
Yeah, but just FYI, a lot of times Core's issue is not really a Core's issue.
The link that you sent, the ambient net,
Yeah,
right?
that's correct. Yeah, just paste that link inside the Axios.get instead of your own function URL.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
to make sure that it's not a problem on the front end code or anything else.
All right, I'll do that. Just a sec.
All right, Kevin, I think we're getting late, so I think we should close it down.
Yep,
Or,
that's it from my end. That's how you make an API and use the API response. If you have any other questions and want to chat about it, I love talking about this crap. If you can't tell already, I'm happy to do it for free. Just reach me on LinkedIn. My name is Kevin Chawla. I probably should have started by introducing myself. But yeah, my name is Kevin Chawla. You can look me up. Make sure. Yep, that's how you spell my name. I'll be happy to connect with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for your time. Really appreciate putting this together. I know it takes a lot of your time after that hard work at the job. So thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Take care.
Yeah, no problem. Everybody have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Kevin.
And